Into the boroughs, the faithful tune in. Gary Mack's in the booth, let the musings begin. Orange and blue, through the highs and the lows, breaking down every pitch, cause that's how it goes. It's MetsMusings, where the stories ignite. A recap, a rant, and a Saturday night. Stats and passion, a voice fans trust. All for the team that's forever with us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of MetsMusings. And I'm very excited this week because I have a very special guest on, my good friend Jeff Cohen from Baseball and BBQ. He co-hosts with Len Aberman, and it is a great podcast. Everybody should check it out. Not only do they talk about baseball with great baseball guests, but they also talk about barbecue. That is a combination you don't see much of at all. And they have been mentioned in many write-ups in different magazines and articles. So go check them out, Baseball and BBQ. And Jeff, welcome back to MetsMusings.
Thank you, Gary. Mack. I don't do it as well as Len, but thank you very much. But it's going to be hard to follow Laura Alvany. She was terrific.
Oh yeah, we were very fortunate to get her last week, and she was great. And hopefully, I can get her back on again because she really knows the stuff and terrific. She's a good writer too, and we're trying to get guests on this show this year, so especially over the winter when there's nothing to do. But let's get into the Mets, and I don't want to beat a dead horse and talk about the whole what happened to the Mets this year. But I was a little surprised to hear that Francisco Lindor had surgery on his right elbow to clean up some stuff in there. It's usually there's always debris, as they call it, in there. And were you as surprised as I was that he had this surgery done?
Yeah, I was surprised when the word came out. I mean, but ever since the Mets were owned by Steve Cohen, they've been very tight-lipped, so they don't get a lot of leakage. But yeah, I know he had surgery, 2-3 years ago on a same type of surgery. So clean it out. And hopefully he's ready for spring training and he can make more accurate throws to a guy at first base, which we hope will be Pete Alonso.
And it just gets a little concerning as he gets older. That's a position where you need a strong arm, and he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but I mean, it's decent enough to play shortstop. But it just concerns me a little bit, and wondering if there's any thought down the line of changing positions where it's not as strenuous to the arm, maybe second base or something. But you think about it too. It's a completely different throw from second, and I don't know. It's a tough thing to answer when people get old like that at shortstop.
Yeah, and he was signed to what, a 10-year contract, 14-year contract. Don't really remember. But yeah, I think toward the end of the contract, it was kind of saying with Corey talking about him moving positions. I think he's pretty good at shortstop right now. He's only going to be 32. I know he doesn't have the strongest arms, but he has a great range. And I think he's going to be a shortstop for a couple of years now. I mean, I know shortstops have changed position. Ripken went over to third base. Machado went over to third base. I mean, A-Rod went over to third base, even though he was the best shortstop on the Yankees at that time because someone refused to move to third base.
Yeah, I wonder who that was.
It was above him. He couldn't do that. So, no, I think it'll be a little while before we see Francisco move to another position.
And we know, of course, that the Mets had a major turnover in coaches, and they are slowly bringing in some new coaches. Not yet to happen is the pitching coach, but they have hired a hitting coach, and he is Troy Snitker. He is the son of Brian Snitker, the former manager of the Atlanta Braves. He's been a hitting coach in the Houston Astros organization since 2016, and he's with the big club. He's 36 years old, and any thoughts on bringing him in? I like the fact that he's young.
Mm-hmm.
Not that Chavez was old, but 36. He's had some success in Houston. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thought is, why did Houston let him go in the first place if he was that good? My second thought is, he's going to be working under the pitching strategist, coordinator, whoever they call him, and Jeff Albert. So he'll be teaching their philosophy. And I hope the philosophy is hit the balls, hit them where they ain't. I think the Mets' biggest problem last year was situational hitting. How many times have they left the runners at second and third with less than 2 outs? Too many to count. I mean, I'm sure we're talking triple digits. And it was just horrible to see. They just weren't going to score. So I hope they change that type of philosophy. But, it all depends on what they do. Look, you and me, we're old school. I remember when the coaches were with 4 coaches. First base, third base, pitching coach, bullpen coach, done. And that was it. I mean, I remember going back to the Yogi Berra school of hitting. See the ball, hit the ball.
Hit the ball. Hey.
That's it. Hit them where they ain't. But I know that's not the way anymore. And baseball's evolved, and they have all these. I guess the way the ball moves, the analytics. You can see the stripes of the ball. Is it going to be curving this way? Is it curving that way? And they're supposed to recognize that and hit it hard. And they want lift. You know what? I think we're just satisfied. Just hit it where they ain't, and that wins ball games. Look, what Ortiz did. That's not Ortiz. Jimenez did in the World Series just the other day. He just put the bat on the ball, floated into left field, scored a run.
And how many times had the Mets lost games like that? Where guys, they'll get guys on, and then they'll just drop one into right field or left field, and it just makes it over the second baseman's head. Boom, you got 1 or 2 runs are in, and that's the ball game right there. And yet the Mets seem to fight that all the time, that they're trying to get that whole velocity thing. Mm-hmm. And you and I have discussed this ad nauseum, how stupid it is, because when they show that thing about the velocity, the high velocity of the game brought to you by whoever, right. A lot of times it's an out.
Yeah,
it's a ground ball is short. That was the highest velocity in the game. So who cares? And as we've said many times, a home run, it doesn't matter if it goes 500 feet or it goes 395 and an inch.
Right.
As long as it goes over the wall, it's 1 run, unless of course there's people on base. But
right. It all counts the same.
What we're saying is it only counts as 1 run, whether you hit it at 89 miles an hour and it gets out, or if you hit it at 140 miles an hour and it gets out. It doesn't matter.
And same thing with pitching. Who cares how hard you throw ball for?
That's right. It doesn't matter as long as it gets over the plate. And, there have been a couple of good pitchers that didn't throw 100 miles an hour. I'm thinking of a Whitey Ford. He wasn't bad.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of them. Now, Bob Gibson was a fireballer, but we don't know what he threw.
Right.
Because they didn't have all of the measuring devices. But I don't think he threw 100 back then.
Right.
Johan Santana in his prime was a damn good pitcher, and he didn't throw hard. So
we knew Seaver threw hard, but he also conserved, and he knew when he had to throw hard in the 7th and 8th inning. So he conserved his energy, and he knew how to pitch.
And he said he never threw a pitch, I think, over 85-90% of his strength.
Right.
Because he knew that if he needed it, he could work at 75% or something. Yeah. And if he needed that one, to throw it at 85 and get him out, he could throw it by somebody. So I don't know. It's all about throwing as hard as you can for 3 or 4 innings or 5 innings, where years ago they used to go 7, 8 innings now. That's a lost art, it seems.
Yep, it is.
But we'll see, and we'll see who the Mets decide to hire as a pitching coach. It's been very tight-lipped about who they're interested in. Usually you get some kind of leaking out of information, but boy, there's nothing on who they may be interested in.
Nope.
Now, I had been interested in perhaps for the hitting coach in Don Mattingly.
Okay.
I thought he would have a connection to Mendoza, but he wasn't with the Yankees when Mendoza was there. But I just thought that Mattingly, he's done a good job with Toronto.
Yeah.
As we see in the World Series, they're up 3-2 as we record this, and they could take it. They could beat the Dodgers. But I thought he would be a good pick because he knows, he was in the division with Miami for many years. He's been in the National League with the Dodgers. So
and he's been in New York forever.
Yeah, and he knows New York, and whether we like him or not, he could hit, and he's done a good job there. But they hired Snitka, and hopefully he'll do the job. But no pitching coach as of yet. And you said why did Houston get rid of Snitka? Well, maybe they got rid of for the same reason the Mets did. A change.
Yeah.
New philosophy or just a different look, something fresher to come in and do the job. But we'll see. In the interim, though, they lost Anton. It looks like they're going to lose Anton Richardson. He was unable to reach a deal on a new contract, and he is now expected to leave the club. I don't think it was money in this situation.
No, I don't think so either. I think if it was about money, he'd be back. I think it's more than that. And I know the social media has been, going crazy. Oh, how can they let him go? I think this is more of a Anton decision. Just wanted to seek out new opportunity. I know with the Mets had the best stolen base percentage in history with him as not only just a first base coach, but the running coach. Soto was a 30-30 guy, almost 40-40 guy. And hopefully they'll remember the teachings that Antoine taught them. But I think it's all on Antoine this time, and I think everybody should give the Mets a pass on losing Antoine Richardson. I think it was money, he'd be back. I think he's just looking for a new opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he. I think he's looking for something better. He's 42 years old, so he's probably looking to manage somewhere down the line. And if you stay a first base coach, you don't hear a lot of first base coaches getting hired as managers.
No.
They usually go to third base and get all aspects, or as you would mention when we were discussing before, bench coach even, and go from there. So
Oh, look,
I think you're right.
He's 42 years old. The Nationals just hired a 33-year-old to be their manager, Blake Butera. I never heard of him. I know the Giants has a no name, Tony Vitello, whom we never heard of. So yeah, who knows? Who knows? These guys
and
are.
The Mets hired Kai Correa as their bench
Kai
coach.
Kai Correa. Yeah, never heard of him before.
Don't know much about him. I think he was coached on the college level and not much in the professional level.
I think he was with San Francisco for a little while.
Yeah, he was with San Francisco, but I mean, but I guess they figured Mendoza now has a couple of years under his belt.
You know what? And Mendoza should be able to pick some of his own coaches.
Yeah, I agree.
It's only fair. It's only fair.
And you know what? I know last year, and look, you have questions about moves with every manager. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
Even Buck Showalter, we questioned some of the moves he made and stuff, and sometimes it's just a guts game. But I think Mendoza's did a great job here. I really do. 2 years, he's had 2 winning record seasons here, got him to the playoffs almost 2 years in a row. in his rookie year as a manager. He got him further in the playoffs than anybody expected. These people on social media calling for him to be fired stuff is stupid. You need consistency. You can't keep, especially if you got young players.
Yeah.
You can't keep changing managers every year. It just doesn't work. It just confuses them.
Hey, who had Alonso had? He had Callaway. He had Rojas. He had Buck. He's on his fourth manager.
Yeah, and it's nuts. Matt, he's lucky enough where they've left him alone more or less.
Yeah.
And just let him hit, but you can't do it. You can't do it.
I know.
And expect consistency. And they're bringing up a lot of young guys now. Now they're going in that direction. That's why I was really surprised that Hefner got let go.
Mm-hmm.
Because with all the young with Tong and Sprout and McLean and all of these guys, I'm a little surprised, and I'm also a little surprised that they don't promote from within like they used to. Usually the AAA guy would be looking to move up with some of these guys. You would figure he was, like Bob Apodaca did. Remember, he was in the minors. He moved up, and so I'm a little surprised that they don't do it, because those guys know him and they can move him up into a position, but they don't do that anymore. And I guess that's the way it goes nowadays.
That's a good point, because McLean, Tong, and Sprout, and even Christian Stevens, they had. I wonder if they had the same coach at the same level, and they just, they'll be consistent.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
that's not
you just
anybody
don't know.
anymore. Right.
Yeah, they don't do it anymore. But okay, the Mets have some decisions to make on some players.
Mm-hmm.
They have 9 players eligible for arbitration. Some of them are not going to get contracts. They're not going to tender them a contract. I don't know what the date is. It's probably going to be pretty soon, though, isn't it? Because isn't that
well, yeah, 5 days after the World Series,
after the World Series.
That's when Pete goes, "I'm out."
6.
That's when Pete goes, "I'm out."
He already said it.
Yeah.
Which I was a little surprised at after the final game of the season.
Well, Soto did it too after the World Series.
Yeah, I don't know. Wait a while. Don't.
I know. I know.
I think we're going to talk about that, though. The Mets, as I said, have 9 players eligible for arbitration. This is according to MLB Trade Rumors. They have an algorithm that figures out what they think the projection of salary should be, and they've got David Peterson at $7.6 million, Tyrone Taylor $3.6 million, Tyler McGill $2.6 million, Francisco Alvarez 2.4, Luis Torrens 2.2, Reed Garrett 1.4, Nick Madrigal at 1.35, and Husker Brazaban 1.3, and Max Kranick at an even 1 million. Off of that list, I could see a few guys that they're not going to sign. I could not see them signing, perhaps offering contract to McGill and Madrigal. I could see that, he broke his leg or whatever he did. No, his shoulder, wasn't it?
It's whatever it was. He's gone. He didn't contribute, and I think he's gone.
Garrett's going to be out for the season. McGill is going to be out for the season.
So if you offer those guys contracts, if you offer Reed and McGill contracts, you might as well give them a 2-year contract, because 1 year is going to be rehabbing. So what do? You just can why give him a 1-year contract?
They did that a couple years ago with Joey, the lefty.
Oh, Lucchesi.
Yeah. Was it Lucchesi?
Yeah.
He's with who's he with now?
He was with San Francisco. I don't know where he is now.
Yeah. remember they gave him the contract when he didn't play, and then they signed him when he was able to play. They gave him another year. I guess they figured they get first shot at him, maybe.
I guess.
I don't know, and they can watch his rehab. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I don't know what the reasoning is. Kranick is a guy that I would offer contract to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brazaban is another one. Kranick, because he's not going to be out all year. He had surgery, but he should be back in the middle of the year.
Yeah. Brazelbaum was hot and cold.
Yeah.
He was great at times, and then then he wasn't. Just like any other relief pitcher, middle reliever.
Now, playing the GM, would you consider giving guys like Alvarez and Peterson try to buy out their arbitration years now, the rest of their arbitration years, and give them a contract and try to get them cheap, like much like the Cleveland Indians did I guess it's the 1990s now.
And the Braves doing it too.
The Braves did it, yeah.
And Beatty, Brett Beatty.
Yeah.
There's two schools of thought on that, Gary, and it has to do with after the 26th season because it's going to be the end of the CBA, and it could be a whole different financial structure going on in Major League Baseball, and who knows what that will be? We don't know at this point. I can tell you right now, and I don't have any sources, but I can tell you there's to be no cap, and thus there'll be no floor. So it's going to be the owners versus the owners to figure out a another financial system, and the players will just sit back and watch them fight it out, and they'll just veto anything that mentions salary cap. I mean, they might change the luxury tax threshold or get rid of the qualifying offer, which hurt Pete Alonso last season. I don't know much about the NBA structure, but they have certain levels where you're prohibited doing things if you go over a certain amount. So who knows what that will look like? And I think that has a lot to do with whether they give these guys contracts or not. You just don't know at this point.
Do you think they could negotiate something like to keep the players happy, to put in and to keep the owners happy, to put in a cap, but give the players union an extra man on a roster or two, and get rid of the qualifying offer, something like that.
You're gonna have to have a different word for cap. Because if they hear the word cap, if they see the word cap, that is not happening.
But you got to give and take. So I mean,
I get it.
Even if they call it a cap, they're going to get two more players on the roster, which I think they should expand the roster anyway, especially now with the way they use pitchers. It's ridiculous that you have a bench of three players or something.
That is ridiculous. But Gary, I have a wild, crazy thought out there. And what if you limit the number of pitches to like 10 or 11? I think this way the pitchers will have to figure out how to pitch. This way they'll don't have to throw maximal time, save their arms. I mean, look, right now you have injuries, record amount of injuries. You put more pitchers on it, you're going to have more injuries. So, have them learn how to pitch instead of throwing the hardest as they can. But that's old school me talking.
Yeah.
That's why they call me the old coot.
Well, yeah. It's going to be an interesting winter, and next year's going to be interesting, and it's just going to be a fun time to. Not so much if they lock out, and
they're already talking work stoppage.
Yeah,
and it's a year away.
It's going to be fun. Boy, that's really going to make it tough for our shows.
I know, right?
Holy cow. Well, the Mets have re-signed left-handed reliever Richard Lovelady to a one-year major league contract worth $1 million. So they do have somebody in the bullpen, a lefty in there. And, his numbers were not good. But, boy, He posted a 6.30 ERA in 8 MLB appearances, but I remember pitching really good in a couple of games, didn't he?
Yeah.
I remember one game he came in, he was lights out. I mean, he was just spectacular.
Yeah.
I guess he had one bad. Of course, in 8 major league appearances, one bad game is enough to kill your
I get
ERA.
it. I get it. Yes. The only thing I don't like about that, he took up a roster spot on the 40-man roster because of a major league contract. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs of. I know they have to have a 40-man without the injuries, and they put the guys on the 60 days, and you have more
Yeah,
roster spots. But you know who they should have signed? You know, when the season went downhill is when Griffin Canning went down. That's the
yeah,
key player who screwed up the Mets this year when he got
yeah.
Achilles heels. Look, he was 7-3 with 3.77
He
ERA.
was,
He was
yeah,
good.
he was good. He
He was
really
good.
was good. Yeah, that hurt. And then Senga got hurt. He got hurt, and that was kind of it.
Yeah.
Then the pitching staff kind of went downhill from there. And yet they still managed to make it to the last day of the season where they could have been in the freaking
Yeah, but
playoffs.
they couldn't. But their hitting just
One game,
sucked.
one game.
Yeah.
It's a heartbreaker. Well, let's switch a little bit from what we were talking about before, and what we didn't get to talk about was Pete Alonso.
Hmm.
Now we're gonna go through this again. The soap opera that is Pete Alonso. Will
Yes.
he
Yes.
sign? Will he not sign? Will they
No.
offer him a contract?
Oh yes.
I believe they will.
I think they're going to
What
be.
is he looking for?
I think they're going to say, "Look, Pete, go get your best offers. Come back to us."
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think
I think
he's a much broader. I think he'll have much broader uh, teams looking for him this year.
yeah. Rumor is he's looking for 7 years in
That's not
the
happening.
200 plus range.
Yeah,
Um,
that's not happening. But he can ask. I mean, I came up with a list of teams that they might be interested in him. And if you just give me a minute here, it's I think the Cincinnati Reds, they have a good home run hitting park. I think the Cubs, because they have a good fan base. Nothing wrong with the Wrigley Field, right? Who doesn't want to play
right.
in Wrigley Field? The Padres, what's not to like living in San Diego? Uh, an outside shot could be Diamondbacks. They're a dark horse. They had a shot last year. I think the Nationals are possible. They have the money. They have a young up and coming team. Uh, Away out there is the Angels because they have the money. They just don't know how to use it. Um, Maybe Texas. Maybe a reunion with Jake. They might need a power hitting first baseman. I thought of Boston, but he would become a singles hitter when he hits the ball off the wall because I don't think he hits him high enough to get him over the wall. He hits those line drives that go
Yeah.
400 feet, and it's just going to hit the wall. And he's not the fleetest of foot, so he's going to be he'll be a singles hitter in Boston. So, and this would be the worst of all possibilities. The Yankees, but with Judge and Stanton, I think they'd be too right-handed for a left-handed hitting ballpark. So, but if Philly goes, Bryce, why don't you go back to right field? Then you have a righty-lefty home run hitting combo. Ooh, that's not,
Yeah.
will not be good.
Yeah.
That will not be good. So, but
Well,
I want him to obviously come back to the Mets. I think Steve Cohen would say, "Look, go get your best deal. Come on back. We'll talk."
well, here's a couple thoughts I had. Uh, Tampa, he is from
Yep.
Florida.
Hmm.
They don't normally spend money, but he's a unique talent that they could use down there to build around, and they're
And new
usually
owner.
good at building a ball club. So,
New
uh,
owner.
new owner, maybe he's got some deep pockets.
Hmm.
Might be interested in doing that. Of course, they don't have a ballpark, but maybe that's good too because
Right.
they're playing in a minor league stadium now. I don't know what situation they are repairing Trop Field, the roof.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be ready for next year, so that's an issue. Um, Another one I was thinking. You mentioned the Red Sox. His wife, I believe, is from the Boston area.
Oh, okay.
I'm not positive in that. I believe I heard that somewhere. So that could be a strong possibility.
Yeah, but
They definitely
I think
have
his
the
home
money.
runs go right down.
Well, I agree there, but he does hit a lot to right center field too.
Hmm.
And that's a shorter area
Yeah.
there. So
Oh,
I
and by the
mean
way,
that's
Add San Francisco on the list too.
San Francisco, and then because they were interested the last time as well. And Buster Posey's been very aggressive with that team
Yeah.
now since he got in there. And of course, as you said, the Yankees are always a possibility. Um, I think I would rather see him go to the Yankees than the Phillies because he'd
Yeah.
be out of our division and we
Exactly.
don't see
Yes.
him for 3 or 4 games.
Yeah. Exactly.
Of course, the PR battle would be, but who cares? I don't really care about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, let's see, who else was I thinking? Well, of course, the Dodgers, but I don't know if he's a West Coast guy.
No.
He's from Florida
Yeah.
and he went to school in Florida. And if his wife is from Boston or Massachusetts or New England area, that they're East Coasters, and sometimes that West Coast is just I don't know. As you said though, the Angels are a possibility too. I mean, there are a number of teams and
Mm.
who will be interested. The Yankees keep gnawing at me because Goldschmidt was on a 1-year contract, so he's out of there this year.
Yeah.
They don't have a first baseman unless
Now
they
they're
go with
singing
Ben
Ben
Rice.
Rice, who's just a catcher as well.
Yeah. Um, but he's not good with a glove at either position. So,
Right.
not that Alonso's better, but and I think as I said, he's looking for 7 years. I think the Mets would give him 7 years if they could talk him into being a DH. I think Stearns is looking to now with the whole, he's really looking to tighten up the defense, and I think that's why they may not even attempt to go with back to him. But I think I think what you said is the best idea, to just say hey, get your best offers and come back, and then we'll talk. And of course, there's no guarantee we do that either, but that it is what it is. But I don't know. Do they need him or can he be replaced?
Yeah, I know.
Sure.
The dog's out of. Yeah, so they want to straighten up the defense, but if there's one position, if the first baseman is the least important defensive division position, I mean that's just the way it is. And I know Pete's not the greatest first baseman, never will be. He can catch the ball, he can scoop it, he can go right or left. He just can't throw the ball. I just say, just Pete, hold on to the ball. It's okay. Let the guy get the first. We don't need to injure our pitchers.
Or throw it underhand or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And Edwin Diaz, your thoughts on him? Did they sign him or not?
They have to sign him. It just makes too much sense not to sign him. I know he's going to be 32 years old. I know that he's his fastball. If it loses any velocity on his fastball, is going to be just a mediocre pitcher. But they don't have much of a choice at this point. Hopefully, he can keep that velocity at where it is, and he can go on for another 3-4 years. It just makes too much sense now that he likes it here. The Mets like him. The Mets took care of him when he went to the World Baseball Classic and injured himself, and took care of him everything they needed. And why he wants to pitch again in the World Baseball Classic is beyond me. They should say no, Pete. I don't think so. I think you should sit this one out. Sit this one out, Edwin. You know,
Especially if he gets a big contract. I think, if the contract's big enough, you should say, look, we're willing to give you this contract, but no WBC.
right, right.
Just put that stipulation in there. and after what happened the last time, and of course it was a fluke. It was
Of
very
course.
reminiscent sort of Griffin
Of course.
Canning. I mean,
Yeah.
he threw the pitch, took a step, and the knee went. But
Yeah.
um I agree. And anybody else you think they will re-sign, I should say, from the club? Number of free agents, of course, and there's a couple that they probably should bring back. I would think a lot
Yeah.
of people want them to bring back Helmsley. I'm not so sure about
You
that.
know what? Not be a bad idea. I mean, he's not going to get a big contract because he's got to reestablish
Right,
himself. That
right.
that, that wouldn't be bad. Maybe do they bring back Jesse Winker for the vibes? Do they bring him back for vibes because he was pretty good last year. I know he didn't contribute much this year, so you know. But that's about it. And before we wrap up, I can just tell you that I don't think they're going to trade for Tarek Skubal. I think all these mock trades I call silly season,
Yeah,
and it's ridiculous. Let's trade this guy for this guy. I think Tarek Skubal is going to remain a Tiger because look, like we just talked about, 2027. Who knows what's going to happen?
right.
So I think the Tigers will go for it. Why wouldn't they? And
And they can always move him at the trade deadline
exactly,
if
exactly.
they're not doing well,
Hmm.
or if they don't think they don't think they got enough to win the World Series, they could just move him at the trade deadline and try to pick up the prospects then. Though it is better to trade in the offseason, you get more,
Yeah,
it seems.
right.
But I mean, it's always a possibility for them to do that as well. So,
Hmm. Yep.
well, Jeff, it's going to be an interesting winter, that's for sure, to see what happens, where the money goes, and who's coming in and who's going to make up the team next year. So,
Hmm.
we'll be here to watch it, and I'm sure you'll be there. And I want everybody to go watch and to listen to, I should say, Baseball and Barbecue. It really is a terrific podcast. You and Len do a phenomenal job. And boy, I remember after you did a couple of episodes, you said to me, "I don't know if we're going to continue. And how many episodes did you do now?"
We're at number 315 dropping on Saturday.
Ah,
And
number
and uh,
315. I
and,
told you
and
to keep
Gary,
going.
we couldn't do it without you. That I tell you that all the time. We couldn't do that without you. And by the way, we're trying to build up our YouTube page, so it's Baseball and Barbecue on YouTube, Baseball and BBQ on YouTube, and we have a couple up there. One nice one with Jane Levy, who just wrote a new book, Making Me Commissioner. She was terrific. And Henry Thomas, we put on video up there. You know who Henry Thomas is? Walter
Yeah.
Johnson's grandson.
Oh, really? The
Yeah.
actor? Oh,
No,
wow.
not the actor.
Oh,
The
not the actor.
not the
Different Henry
actor.
Thomas.
Yes, but the
Walter
grandson
Johnson.
of
I'm gonna
Walter
have to
Johnson.
check that one
Yes,
out.
yes.
All right. And what's coming up this week? Is that the one coming up the
This
next
week,
episode?
this week is an author named Jeffrey Owens. He wrote a book selling baseball. It's about the beginning of baseball with George Wright and Albert Spalding, how they got started in baseball, the business of baseball. You've heard of Spalding Sporting Goods
Oh,
Company,
yes.
so
Yeah.
yeah, they
Yeah.
those guys were they were part of the original Cincinnati Reds, the Cincinnati Red Stockings. So that's coming up, and yeah, Henry Thomas will be on the following week, and then we have some more guys coming up, and yeah, it's doing pretty well. So check us out, Baseball and BBQ on all your podcast apps.
Boy, I'm telling you, they always got some great guests. So go check it out. I've even been on there. So
Yeah.
go check out those too. So, Jeff, I want to thank you again for coming on. And I know we had a little technical difficulties. Thank you so much for sticking with
Anytime,
it.
Gary.
And I'll be back after this.
Hi, this is Leonard Hollywood Aberman, and I'm here with my dear friend and co-host on the Baseball and Barbecue Podcast,
Jeff the Oak Coot Cohen, and you're listening to Mets Musings with
Gary Mack.
for baseball histories, stories, and great interviews with authors and players. Listen to Baseball and BBQ. For barbecue, we have great pitmasters, recipes, interviews.
Just great things. Listen, there's baseball podcasts, there's barbecue podcasts, but there's not a podcast that has both. We do. You're going to love it. Baseball and barbecue, great guests, decent hosts, but you're going to love it. So
Yes,
tune in.
We have a lot of fun, and it's available on all your podcast apps.
I hope you enjoyed that interview, and we're going to try to bring a lot more like that over the course of this winter as we figure out and watch and pay attention to what the Mets are doing as they try to rebuild the team after a not so great 2025. So stick with us. We'll be here. And don't forget, the Mets Musings podcast is available in video and audio. The video is on YouTube and Rumble and TikTok. And the audio is available on all of your favorite podcast apps. So go check it out. And while you're there, please hit the subscribe button and the like button or whatever your app might have. And if you hit the subscribe button, you'll always know when another episode of Mets Musings is out and online. So please go check that out. And tell your friends and neighbors too about the show. So until next time, keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go Mets. And I'm Gary Mack, and I'll see you next time on another edition of Mets Musings.